Okay, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really get into the sources you send us.
Yep, get right to the heart of it.
So today we're looking at Dragon Ball. It's a huge universe, right? We've got some excerpts here from Dragon Ball, a universe of evolving characters.
Fascinating stuff. And the mission today, based on this material, it's really about figuring out how Dragon Ball manages such a massive cast over, well, decades.
Right. Who sticks around? Who kind of fades out?
And why? What does the source say about those reasons?
Okay, so jumping right in. The source points out maybe an obvious but key challenge. When you bring in new characters, especially really powerful ones, it often means older characters kind of get sidelined. It mentions the Earthlings specifically, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. The power levels just go whoosh, way up. And the source notes that, the bad guys get so strong that many of the early heroes just, well, they can't really compete anymore.
It becomes a narrative problem, keeping them relevant.
Exactly. When the ceiling keeps rising like that, dramatically.
But, okay, it's not like everyone disappears. The source is clear. A core few remain really important. Son Goku, obviously.
The main guy, yeah. For a huge chunk of the story, at least initially.
And the source talks about his drive, right? Always pushing limits.
Oh, yeah. That's Saiyan pride, it mentions. Sometimes even taking silly risks just for a good fight.
Haha. Yeah.
And it points out those connections he keeps, like his Turtle School uniform from Master Roshi Kame-senen.
Right, where he learned the Kamehameha, iconic.
Totally. And Krillin, too, his friend, another student of Roshi's. He sticks around.
And the source makes sure to mention Bulma. She's crucial, isn't she? Even with zero fighting power.
Absolutely essential. Her inventions, her tech, the source highlights things like the Dragon Radar.
Yeah.
That kicked off the whole adventure, didn't it? Helped Goku find the Dragon Balls.
Yeah, right from the start.
And then there's Gohan, Goku's son. The source talks about his journey. Starts off kind of timid.
But grows massively in importance.
Yeah.
And power.
Right. Even takes over as the main character for a bit later on. So according to this source, these characters endure because, well, they're central to the plot. Or they offer something unique, like Bulma's tech. Or they represent that next generation, that evolution.
Okay. But there's another angle the source brings up for keeping characters around, which I find really interesting.
What's that?
Turning bad guys into good guys. Or at least allies.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It points to Piccolo, right? Son of the evil King Piccolo, but also linked to Kami, Earth's guardian.
And Vegeta, the Saiyan prince, starts off as a major villain.
A really cruel one, too. But the source tracks his change, how he becomes an ally, even marries Bulma, though, he keeps that fierce rivalry with Goku going.
Always. And Piccolo shifts from being an enemy to more of a mentor, especially for Gohan.
Exactly. So the source suggests that changing a character's role is just as important as their power level for longevity. It keeps them woven into the story.
We even see that pattern later. The source mentions folks like Freezer, Cell, Ooh.
Right. It specifically talks about Good Boo, how he ends up joining the heroes after his evil part is dealt with.
And then reincarnated as Oob, who Goku trains.
Yeah, it's like this continuous cycle of bringing powerful figures back into the fold, but in new ways.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together from the source material.
Good part.
Dragon Ball manages its huge cast. Well, not by keeping everyone in the spotlight. It seems to accept that some characters, especially those outpaced by power scaling like many Earthlings, will fade a bit.
Right, but it compensates. It keeps this core group relevant through, plot importance, unique skills like Bulma's.
Or through evolution like Gohan. And critically, using that strategy of turning enemies into allies like Piccolo and Vegeta, changing their function in the story.
That seems to be the key takeaway from these excerpts, yeah, a dynamic approach.
So, thinking about this whole approach, based on what the source tells us, this constant cycle of characters rising, falling, changing roles over decades, what does that tell us about how you keep a massive, long-running story like this engaging for the audience?
Is it just about bigger fights and power levels? Or is it those changing relationships, the shifting alliances?
Or maybe something else entirely that makes a character truly last. It makes you wonder about the trade-offs, doesn't it? This constant need for escalation versus keeping beloved characters meaningful.
Definitely something to think about.